Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to talk about Mafia the Old Country's newest controversy, and this might be the dumbest controversy yet. So, as we know, the new Mafia game just came out, and as of right now, it's currently being thrashed by the community, not because it's a bad game, but because of the dumbest reasons possible. So, firstly, Mafia the Old Country is a really bad game because it doesn't have swimming mechanics, something that isn't really the focus in the game, nor plays part in any aspect of the game. Not to mention a mechanic slash feature which really hasn't been present in the franchise, not because the franchise is outdated, but because the franchise simply doesn't need it, except the third entry, which we all know how that game is. But hold up, this was actually debunked. The game does kind of have swimming animation slash mechanics, with a smaller caveat. When you go into water, there's an animation for it, something which people thought wasn't present in the game and called it really bad. Instead now, the game actually teleports you back to your checkpoint, not because it's an open world game, but because it's a linear game. Now, I personally haven't tried the game out yet, but I have been looking into a lot of its stuff. And all of these controversies, you don't even need to play the game to know that they're really dumb and stupid, such as how the game is trying to copy Ghost of Tsushima. This is something I saw in a review video, apparently because the game is really focused on knife combat. Reminder bell, the game takes place in early 1900s Sicily and is a mafia game. And knife fighting was actually really common back then, so the gameplay actually bodes in well with the game's theme. Then in some other review, I'm not gonna call out names, but apparently the voice acting sounds really Mexican. At this point, you just know people are rage baiting, because how does On God's Green and Beautiful Earth, the voice acting in Mafia the Old Country sounds Mexican? The voice actors sound Italian, and they are Italian. Now, there are some other points which do sound a little fair and a little unfair at the same time. There are people who say that the story is absolute trash, and then there are people that say it's one of the best they've ever seen. Now, based on what I've seen and talked with people about it, they do express that the narrative is one of the strongest parts of the game, but it obviously falls onto your preference. Gunplay, same story here. A lot of people dislike it, a lot of people love it. To me, based on what I've seen, it feels a lot like Last of Us Part 2's gunplay, which is something I really love. And this definitely seems something of an upgrade from Mafia 3's gunplay or Definitive Edition's gunplay. Then there are people complaining that the game is heavily focused onto the narrative. Now, there's some partial excuses you can actually let in, as for the fact that there's just a lot of cutscenes in the game, but then again, it's a Mafia game. This franchise has always put narrative first, then gameplay, and then other aspects. It might not be everyone's taste, which is totally fine, but that doesn't necessarily make it bad if it doesn't align with you. Other than that, people have been complaining about the open world free roam stuff, which is pretty bare bones, which is something I personally have complained with the previous games, though it is something excusable because the franchise isn't really open world, not counting Mafia 3. The focus is extremely linear, and before this game came out, the devs clarified that the game is really linear focused and is not GTA. So you shouldn't really go into this game with intentions of GTA in 1900s Sicily, because that's something this franchise isn't. There are some actual flaws with this game, such as the disappointing performance, which are backed by Unreal Engine 5 and Denuvo, and it's a shame. But overall, the game actually really looks great, and by no means it's slop. It isn't anything groundbreaking, and it really shouldn't be. It should just be a great game, and for what it is, it costs $50 and is around 10 to 13 hours long. It seems like a really amazing package. But if you prefer games where your only main objective is just swimming or looking at small details all the day, then unfortunately it doesn't seem like Mafia the Old Country might be a game for you. Subnautica is a really good game if you really love swimming. Anyways, see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.